Hey everybody, it's Kate Richberg, and welcome to this quick Beadshop Basics tutorial. Today I'm going to share with you how to do the herringbone weave for ladder bracelets. It's a question that we've gotten periodically. We have a great long form videos about herringbone weave, but I just wanted to show you what the herringbone weave looked like with the different sizes of Chinese knotting cord, as well as how to figure out what length you're going to need. So let's get started. So what I've got here in front of me, just so you can see, is one of our herringbone bracelets, herringbone weave that has, this is one of our older style projects rather, but you can see this is the herringbone weave that's right here. And it really is a beautiful addition to a wrap bracelet. This one has some semi-precious rounds in it, but you can choose whatever you like to go in this piece. You can also use it, as just a small section of a larger wrap bracelet, but you can see the majority of this herringbone weave or herringbone wrap is all of the herringbone weave. You can see that here, and it really is kind of a cord forward kind of design. So what you're going to need to do this is some kind of leather for your base. In this case, I'm using a 1.5 millimeter leather, and then some Chinese knotting cord. That's what traditionally we do this weave with. I'm going to show you 4, 0.4, 0.5, and zero point 0.8 millimeter, and you'll see how those different sizes of cords make your weave look a little. So let me start with the middle size. We use the 0.5 mostly for this. We'll start here and then we'll go up a size and we'll go down a size. I'm going to measure, I think about a foot of this cord so we can really see how far a foot is going to take us with this. It'll kind of make a short section of the weave, but that way we can multiply, how much this makes by how many, inches the weave is. So this is the 0.5 millimeter CKC, and I've connected my cord to my board here, and I'm going to connect it also on the other side. Like anything wrap bracelet, you need to have this kind of taut so that your stitches will be nice and even and tight. Let me get this on this side here so it's nice and not too spread out. Okay, we need a little bit of space there to get the weave in, but we don't need it to be super wide. Okay, so what we've got here is our 0.5 millimeter. You can see that. And, I'm using gray here, which maybe isn't the best choice. Are you thinking that too? Let me grab actually a different color. I'm going to grab this teak so I'm not working gray on gray. I think that makes sense. There we go. Even though I like the gray with that distressed denim that I'm using, but you can see here's the teak in 0.5. So let's switch that out. Okay. Again, 12 inches here, 1 yard. Let me straighten this out so it's not too disturbing at an angle. And the way that you start this, let me find the bracelet here. See here how we've started this bracelet right at the button. So we've actually buried the thread that we're going to ladder with later up here, right? And so it runs alongside, and then we just pick it up and start your laddering down here in this section. You can do it that way if you're going to use thread later in your piece, or you can just add your thread where you need it, okay? But here, can you see there's no like macrame or silk wrapping or anything like that at the beginning. Though you could start this like a transition or an evolve crimp like this, crimp your thread down and then start your herringbone. You could do a little bit of flat macrame stitch, square stitch here, and then go into your herringbone. You could also do that with some of the like a silk wrap, and then silk wrap your thread in, and then use those threads that you silk wrapped in to go into your herringbone. The choice is really yours, but I like how sleek and slick this is without anything at the start. So that's how we're going to do that. Okay, so I've got this foot. I'm just going to come in behind my 1.5 millimeter leather. I'm going to get down a little tighter here so you can see this. And I'm going to start with my left-hand side of my cord. Okay, let me raise it just a little so I can get this into focus. That looks a little bit better. Get that out of the way. So I'm going to start with my left. And all I do is I bring this left-hand cord, I find the center, first of all. Then I bring this left-hand cord over the left-hand side of the leather cord and under the right. And again, I want to make sure that's centered because I want an even amount of threads on both sides. So once I've gone over with that end, with that side, I take the opposite cord and go over the right-hand side of the leather and under the left. And can you see how I've begun that herringbone right there? Now I'm going to continue going from the left over the left-hand cord down to and under the right, over the right, and under the left. Tighten it up. And as you get this stitch established, that's when things start to be a little bit easier. What I like to do, because the first of any stitches can be kind of a little difficult to control. So there are my first three. As I do this, I put my finger underneath to kind of hold it. I go from the left, then I go from the right, then I tighten and push up at the same time. I'm going to go a little bit faster now, and I'm going to raise this camera just to get everything maybe a little more in focus. I'm sorry if that wasn't quite as focused as I want it to be, but push it up. See how I push those herringbone wraps up and then I tighten. So I want my stitches that I'm doing with this cord to be pretty even and pretty regular. I don't want any of the cord kind of poofing out at the sides here. But see how I almost make it one movement from the left, then to the right, and push up. Now, the thing about this stitch is you don't want to, it can come undone kind of easily, right? So I just want to be careful if I'm leaving this for a long period of time to finish off at least this herringbone section and then kind of stop what I'm doing with my piece. So let's go ahead and let's do a couple more stitches. I'm getting close to the end of where I'm comfortable with this length of thread. Okay, so let me do that. I'm going to grab my clip, my clamper here, and I'm going to clamp this down just to hold it so it doesn't come undone. And let me measure that section. Okay, so I think I'm a little under an inch. So let's see if I can get a foot or an inch of herringbone weave with this foot of cord. Obviously, you'll be using cord that's a little bit longer, but I wanted to give us some kind of formula to work with. So you could calculate that 1 foot equals probably, my guess, is about an inch of herringbone. You're going to have a little bit of tail left over, and you can see no matter how hard I try, one side always seems to be a little bit shorter than the other, but that's kind of how it goes with this. Let me go ahead and clamp it again, and let me measure. So what I've got here, this is, I'm just shy of an inch. Let me do about, let's see if I have enough with that tiny little piece. But that should, if I had gotten this even, this thread, we would have been pretty right on the money here. You can see weaving with tiny little tails is a little cumbersome. Let me see if I can get one more in here, because I'm going to show you how to add on another color next. So I've got this little tiny tail. In reality, I'd like a little bit more, but we'll just go ahead and clamp that. And that gives me, I'm just shy of an inch. But again, had I gotten my cords even, I would have had enough to make maybe 2 more stitches for that inch. So let me show you how I would add some more thread. Okay, let me go to, now I guess I can go to that gray, if I can find it sitting here. Where's that piece of gray that I cut off? Here it is. I'm gonna go ahead and glue an extra piece. I think actually I'm gonna use red. It'll be easier for you to see. I'm gonna get another foot of this just to show you how we add our thread there. Let me clip this off. I'm going to put a little bit of GS Hypo cement, and you're going to see what I want to do is I want to put it on the back here, just there on the leather and there. And I'm going to clamp that back on. And I want to be careful to catch both of these pieces of cord. So I'm going to come up from behind, see that there, get to my center, and then I'm just going to continue with the herringbone weave. Now I've got this short little piece here, but I'm just going to incorporate it in so you're not going to see it. So I'm going to catch it. See, there it is. And I'm just going to start weaving. I'm going to pull these 2 threads that were up above a little tighter, like so. And I'm just going to bury these maybe, I don't know, 3 stitches down. And then I'll be able to get rid of the brown cords and just continue with the red. Make sure that tiny little piece is in there. And tighten it up. There's 2. And see, that brown cord really disappears in there. Let me do it one more time. I like the idea of having 3 stitches. There we go. And this side, tighten it up over that brown. I'm gonna clamp this. I'm going to clip away very carefully those little bits of the brown cord. You could also use your thread burner here. There we go. And we're just going to continue on as if those little pieces weren't there, though I do need to bury that in. I could have also added a little more glue at this point, but there we go. See how nice and tight that is. Now I'll just continue going on with my fresh color. Let me just give myself a couple more stitches, and then we'll look at the 0.4 millimeter and the 0.8. So about a foot of cord gives you about an inch of weaving. Okay, so, and then of course you can finish it again with a silk wrap or one of our transition crimps, however you want to do it. Okay, so there's that. Pardon me. Let's go ahead and move to the 0.4 millimeter. I'm going to go ahead and cut a foot. Now remember, since the 0.4 is a thinner diameter of cord, you're going to get a finer herringbone. Okay, and I'm not going to go through how to connect it or anything. We did that already. I'm just going to go ahead and find that center point of this cord with my foot here, and I'm going to go starting from the left over and under the right, and then over the right and under the left. So see how I can kind of start it down there and then I can push it up into place. Sometimes that helps a little bit. I'm going to leave myself a little more space there so I'm not working quite so high. But I'll go from the left to the right, from the right to the left, and tighten. My base cords aren't quite as tight as I'd like them to be, so let me tighten those up. It really makes a difference in the quality of that herringbone if these base cords are tight or not. We use this stitch also in our 5-stitch project. You can see how it's used there. But it's a nice, effective way to use this cord. It goes actually very quickly, but it does eat a lot of thread. I've also done this in leather, 0.5 millimeter leather cord. It really looks terrific in that with that material as well. So just experiment and see what works for you. You can also use your base cords like a 2 millimeter leather cord or down to a 1 millimeter leather cord, but again, that's all going to affect the outcome or the finish. So I've used, let's see where I am here. I'll come in and clamp this down, and you can see, let me measure. I've used about half of my cord here. So half of my cord gives me 1, 2, 3, just about 3/8 of an inch of cord. So this should give me, if I use all of this, it'll give me maybe about a 1/2 inch or so, maybe a little bit more, maybe 3/4 of an inch of thread here with the 0.4 millimeter. Okay, and I'm going to place these two side by side so you can see the difference between the 4 millimeter. Let me get my hand behind it there. The 4 millimeter here and the 0.4 millimeter here and the 0.5 millimeter here. Let's do, on the very last, let's do the 0.8. 0.8 CKC is pretty thick, not overly so, it's less than a millimeter but it's a little more heavy duty. It'll go a little bit faster, and the stitch will be a little bit larger. Let me connect this to the board. Let me cut that foot. This color I'm using is Mocha. The 0.4 color I used, that was Boysenberry. So I'm going to clip that off. I'm going to open this up just a touch because you need just a little bit of space to do that herringbone. Bring it to the back, find the center, and then we start. So here's my going to the left and going to the right. This thread is not centered in the least. Let me pull it just a little bit more. There we go. That looks a little bit better. See how defined that stitch is in the 0.8? And it goes a lot faster. The 0.4 is nice, but I feel like it's a little delicate maybe. Maybe I would go down to a 1mm leather cord if I were using the 0.4, just to kind of have everything in line, you know, a little more in line with the sizing. Oops, one of my strands came loose, and that makes for a sloppy herringbone. You could also, with this 0.8, I think pop up to that 2mm leather, though I think it looks fine on the 1.5. This leather that I'm using is the distressed denim. I like all of the distressed series of leathers that we carry, but this would also look nice kind of in a monochromatic palette too. So I think that would look good with the same color leather and CKC for the herringbone weave. Let me go ahead, push that up. Whoops, that needs to go underneath. There we go. We're getting close to an inch here. So that 12 inches in the 0.4 gives you about a ½ inch of weaving, maybe close to 3/4, just depending on probably how tight you're doing it. The 0.5, that 1 foot gives you about an inch. And this one also, let me measure. This is also, it would give you maybe about 1.25 inches if I went to the very end of this cord. So it's a little bit longer with the 0.8. I would go ahead and, you know, cut your length kind of generously so you don't run out of cord. You could always add some more behind like I did on that first color, but it's better to err on the side of having a little more cord than a little bit less. So let's take a look at all of these side by side. You can see how they differ in size there for each stitch. The 0.4, sorry, I can't get this camera to, there we go, I'll bring it up close maybe. Can't quite get that to focus. There we go, that's not too bad. So that's that 0.4, the 0.5, and the 0.8. So that is how easy it is to do the simple herringbone stitch. And again, just at the end, you can do a crimp, you can do a silk knot, you can just tie a knot, glue it, add some hypo cement, and then use your thread burner to burn it away. So I hope you enjoy this quick little Beadshop Basics. You can find all of our projects and products right on our website at beadshop.com. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter for the latest discounts, giveaways, and new products. And make sure and follow our YouTube channel, you guys. All of our basics and so much learning is there for you to help you with all of your beading projects. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.